Welcome, fellow watch lovers. Today we're going to take a quick look at the San Martin SN004 limited edition and look at some of the differences and the different color options that are available. I've previously reviewed the blue model, and there you'll find specifications of the watch and a more in-depth overview. For this video, I wanted to just take a minute to show you some of the differences that I came across when evaluating both of these side by side. Outside of the clear, obvious difference in colors in these two pieces, I want to note that on the blue dial, we have a slightly semi-gloss dial, and then you obviously have the ceramic glossy bezel. To me, this feels a little bit more consistent than on the black variant, where you have a matte type of dial with a glossy ceramic bezel insert. I personally would have preferred on the black version if there was a matte ceramic option. I think that would have been ideal. Now, the other difference that I've noticed, actually the bezel action on both of these, as well as really the sound of the bezel itself when you turn it. Now, there's a very clear difference in the sound, but there's also the difference in the feel. The blue one on my particular version is tighter and stiffer to rotate, as well as there's definitely no backplay. The black version, I wouldn't say there's really much backplay at all. I mean, just you can barely rock it back and forth in between inside of a setting. It's not like backplay that you get on some other models where it's very clear and obvious, but it is a little bit looser and freer in play. So with that, you can tell that even with San Martin's high standards and tolerances, there are differences within this model, or you could potentially get a watch that feels a little bit different from the one myself is reviewing or someone else is reviewing. Another difference between the two is the type of luminova used for the indices and hands. The blue variant uses BGW9 superluminova, which has a blue tint to it, and the black variant uses C3 superluminova, which has a green tint to it. I will note on the black variant that the indices and ceramic bezel insert, in terms of the color, has slight orange and yellow tint to it versus what you may think when you think of the gilt and gold of some other models. As an example, here we have a Pagani design watch that shares some of the same similar looks, though the case sizing is dramatically different. You can see that they use more of a rose gold on the bezel insert as well as the indices, and that does tend to make the watch look different. And also note that the Pagani design has an aluminum bezel insert, so it has more of a matte finish and is less reflective and shiny than the San Martin with the ceramic bezel insert. The hands on the San Martin are a little more yellow gold than the rose gold on the Pagani design. And of course, the indices are a darker Fotina color than they are on the San Martin. The goldish color of the indices, hands, and the bezel give the watch a very warm look, and that's a little unusual outside of either retro divers or actual dive watches that were from the 1950s. And I find this tends to make the watch fairly versatile, as that even though it's a black dial watch, in some cases you can get away with using it with brown tones in your clothing, or as a watch dial that has all white indices and a white label on the bezel inserts and tends to have a cooler tone, and with a black face that can sometimes clash with brown tones. I just wanted to provide a quick overview between the two if you're deciding on which color pick. I think overall, the blue variant feels like a more consistent package because of the color match and the shine and texture match that feel glossy, semi-glossy on the blue variant, whereas the black version has a little bit of inconsistency because of it has a matte finished dial and then a shiny bezel insert. The other areas of consistency that the blue variant outweighs the black variant is the AR coating is blue on both of the watches, and therefore catching the light on the blue variant looks perfectly natural and normal, whereas on the black variant you can see some of the blue as it clashes a little bit with the black. And the other piece being the indices being BGW9 Superluminova on the blue variant gives you blue indices that obviously glows and matches well with the blue variant of the dial. And since the Superluminova is so powerful on these, even in mild to low light conditions, those indices and hands start to glow. And so you start to see that tint start to show up even when you're not in total darkness. And so that becomes kind of a relevant factor, especially on the black dial watch, where the green ends up starting to glow some. And while green doesn't completely clash with the rest of the watch, it does not blend in as well as the blue on blue and white. In my opinion, both of these are fantastic watches. I love the style of them. I think they're incredibly well executed, and they get my highest recommendation, especially at the price point. But I hope this short review is helpful to you in your selection process. Certainly check out my longer review on the blue variant for the specs and the details.